Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, professional Western and Vedic astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In this episode, my guest, Crystal Ellis, a wellness guide, will enlighten us on how to reclaim our power through ritual, rhythm, and design, which can help heal our nervous system and embody more self-worth. So stay tuned. Welcome to the episode featuring my guest, Crystal Ellis. Crystal Ellis is a women's empowerment coach, wellness guide, and the founder of Crystal Clear Wellness. Through a blend of human design, Enneagram, yoga, and energetic rituals, Crystal helps high-achieving women break free from burnout and realign with their soul's rhythm. After 20 years in corporate strategy, Crystal now guides others through deep self-discovery, nervous system healing, and the embodiment of self-worth. Her signature method is grounded, soulful, and rooted in daily rituals that restore clarity, confidence, and joy. To reach Crystal, check her out at her website, www.crystalclear-wellness.com, or on Instagram at crystalclear_wellness. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce my guest and colleague, Crystal Ellis. Welcome, Crystal.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you as our first guest of 2026.
Yeah, woo!
So, alignment, energy, and the new paradigm woman, reclaiming your power through ritual, rhythm, and design. Let's talk about the importance of ritual for people, especially in this day and age. And I just recorded an episode on Neptune going into Aries, which will be very important for people establishing a structure and foundation from the get-go. So what can you tell us about that, Crystal?
Yeah, so ritual is so important, and where a lot of us go wrong is treating it like it's a to-do list. Like it's,
Right.
I got to get to my, workout. I got to get to my yoga class. I have to, make sure I get it in, and we're missing the point. It's truly the sacred time for us to really recalibrate our own energy. And it's so important. And it's important to be consistent. It's not something that you should do when you feel like it. It's truly something that you should be prioritizing. And it should be something you do to start your day.
I totally agree. I wake up because I have a cat alarm at like 5 or 5:30, but I do my practices until the sun comes up. And in spiritual circles, that time of sunrise is very powerful. It's called Sanya. And anything we do at that time is enhanced. So what can you tell listeners about possible rituals or how to structure it, or how do they do that? Because a lot of people, they don't have to get up at 5, by the way. But what do you suggest?
Well, and thank you for bringing that up, because it's so true. I think a lot of us are so all or nothing. So
Right.
we think if we can't do it perfectly, why bother? And again, that's where we go wrong. It's about making it accessible and realistic, especially if you're a mom with young kids or you have a full-time job with set hours. Make it accessible. So maybe it's not at 5 a.m. Maybe it's at 10 a.m. Maybe
Right.
it's a break you schedule in your day. So really making it work for you. And it doesn't need to be an hour plus.
Right.
It could be 5 to 10 minutes.
Exactly.
It's really about something that you can be consistent with every day versus being all or nothing.
So what would be like an example? Let's say a busy mom, she has to get up, get her kids going, get them to school. She has, maybe 5 to 10 minutes before all the chaos of the breakfast hour breaks free. What would you suggest?
Well, this is where I also love to get a sense of the person, right? So where I'd suggest chatting with me or you first to get a sense for what are they seeking more balance in their life? Where do they feel like they're struggling the most? Where do they feel like they're feeling stuck or drained? You really want to get a sense for what this person needs to bring more in, because sometimes someone just needs grounding.
Right.
Sometimes people just need some silence, and sometimes people need to get things out of their head and journal or move their body. So I think it really depends on what the person is I always love to get a vibe for what is the intention, just like we do with the new year, right? Like,
Right.
what do you want to bring more in? And what are you looking to move? What are you looking to get rid of? But as a start, kind of a blanket for anyone, 5 minutes of meditation. And it doesn't have to be sitting in silence. Use the insight timer. Listen to an acoustic song. Take a walk outside. So I think a good start is something that is around meditation or mindfulness, could be beneficial for anybody. Or journaling is the other one that I think anyone can anchor into. Just kind of doing a blank sheet of paper and starting to just journal about what's ever on their mind. Get it out of your head.
Right. And as you said, it can be any time of day, but I think people lose steam after
Mm.
like midday. And it's quite commonly known that like the early part when you first wake up, your subconscious is clear. I think that's the best time to tune in. But like you said, repeating an affirmation or
Mhm.
even reading an excerpt from a
Yeah.
spiritual book or a
Yep.
motivation book, and as you said, writing
Yep.
and journaling, it's all very powerful stuff because they get in touch with themselves.
100%. And I also like to tell people that there's so much should. There's so
Right.
much like expectation, and again, this all or nothing. And I really encourage people who are really, they don't have a base yet. They don't have a consistent ritual. Start with something that you enjoy. If you don't like to journal, don't start with journaling. If you don't like to sit still, don't start with that. Start with something that you like. If you like to get outside, start with a walk outside and maybe start to incorporate a mantra or an affirmation. Then we start to layer. I mean, Atomic Habits by James Clear, one of my favorite books in the world. I've read it 3 or 4 times. I'll probably read it again this year because I can use some help stacking more habits. But it's truly about starting small, starting with something that's accessible, and then we add. So once you get a few weeks of one thing at 5 minutes, then it's easy to layer on one more thing, right? So start with start with one thing.
That's great advice. And then each month they could add something to it.
Exactly.
People tend to take on too much at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
And I think that's why by the third week, they don't want to do it because it's
Yeah,
overwhelmed. So, as you said, simplicity is the key and start simple and do something that almost feels second nature.
yeah,
But unless you consciously commit to it, it's just not going to be happening. So
totally.
it's all about structuring it during a time when you know that it will be easy to follow through.
Totally. And also the mindset around it. And this is why I like calling it a ritual versus uh, routine or a to-do, because we tend to shame ourselves. So if we were planning to go to spin class and we didn't go, we feel bad, right? We shame ourselves, we feel guilty, we feel like we're not disciplined enough, and whatever this ritual is truly for us and it's sacred. And we do it because we want to feel better. We
Right.
do it because we want to really understand ourselves better. This is our time to really turn inward. And if we skip a day, we skip a day. There's no
Right.
shaming. There's no, thoughts around it. It's just didn't get to it today. I'll do it tomorrow. But the goal is ultimately that you never skip it.
Right. Now, what would you say about doing a practice or a ritual for somebody who might feel stuck, burnt out, even bordering depressive, and they just are like, what's the use? What would
Mm,
you suggest for
mm.
somebody like that?
Yeah, and that's tough. I've been there. I mean, I've been in my own seasons. I love talking about seasons too, because we can all relate to that. We're in a
Right.
winter season and we tend to fight that. So this is where I really like to honor if you're in a season where you're feeling really stuck and you're feeling lethargic and you're feeling, really low. Maybe that 5 minutes is just tenderness. Maybe it's just listening to a song that's going to just kind of like, you don't want to fight that. You don't want to do something that's too energizing and just going to like push you way outside of where you actually are. You do want to meet yourself where you're at. And maybe you start with just, like I said, a song in your bed. Maybe you stay cozy in your bed and you just take the first 5 minutes before you even open your eyes to put on a song that brings you joy and makes you want to get up. Or maybe it's a sad song and you get out some emotions. So I think really meeting yourself where you're at is the most important way to start.
I love that. And you talk about this because you help women break free from burnout and realign with their
Mm-hmm.
rhythm. And that rhythm is going to be up and down.
100%.
So we can't fake it till we make it.
No, it's funny. I've been breaking that one down a lot lately because, especially as an entrepreneur myself, and I'm still in this trial and error, and I'm really working with authenticity and vulnerability and all the Brené Brown things that we love. And you can't fake it till you make it in this world, in this era that we're moving into. You can't. It's people see right through that. And what really resonates, especially for the type of work that we both do, is the authenticity, is the being
Right.
real, is embodying what you're really doing. And I can't fake it. So if I'm having a day where I'm honest about it, and I think that's what resonates when I work with women, is the fact that I'm on a journey too, and I'm right there with them. I'm just a little bit further along.
Well, that's how it has been traditionally in spiritual mentorship, that
Mm-hmm.
like you have gone through what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the whole resonance, like attracts like. So you can teach them because what's the most powerful teacher? It's your experience. It's
Mm-hmm.
not quoting something from a book or a self help manual. It's like, I've lived this, and this is how you make this transition from where you are feeling now to where you want to be.
Yep.
And that's something that is again speaking to authenticity and also embodiment. And I want to talk about that because what part of your work too is helping people with self-worth. I think women in general in our society have had that bashed out of them. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of your work is helping women to reclaim that.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is where I also love the self-discovery component, which I'm huge on, because I am somebody who for sure tried to fit a mold for so long. I did all the things that I thought I was supposed to do. I was a performer. I lived very much outside of myself, people pleaser, good at school, good at work, did all the things that I thought I should. And I was completely disconnected and very disconnected from my own worth because I wasn't really operating out of my own, inner compass. And this is where I think self-worth is something that really comes from understanding ourselves better. And if we don't really know ourselves, it's hard to value what's great about us. And by better understanding who we are as a person, what our strengths are, what our joy is, what our purpose is, we will naturally find more self-worth because we're not living outside of ourselves anymore. We're living from this internal, soul connection that brings so much worth. And it's also understanding along with that, self-discovery and community are kind of two pillars that are huge for me with worth because as someone who's gone through their own seasons of lacking worth and feeling depressed and feeling overwhelmed, I've hermited, I've isolated, I've done everything I can to wait till I feel better. And sometimes that's the worst thing you can do. Not to say you don't need to do that at times, you
Right.
should. But at some point, it's best to reach out and grab somebody's hand and see yourself in others and join communities and get the help you need, whether it's a therapist or a coach or, a community circle. I've gone through addiction, grief, business pivoting, and all the identity shifts at once, and it was crippling.
Wow.
And I didn't start to feel better till I started to connect.
That's huge. That's so important because what happens is we tend to stew in our own juices,
Mhm.
so to speak, and we're being self-referred only, and that means our subconscious or our conscious is what's keeping us again.
Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes it's good. Cocooning is great, and then you
Mhm.
get out. But I totally agree. And we're coming into the time when unity and community is going to become much more important with Pluto and Aquarius. But sometimes it's just that connection from someone else mirrors back an aspect of yourself that has been occluded or is not obtainable from you, and it can open a door. And it's also the wounded healer teacher, where you feel wounded, you can teach others and probably help them who are having a bad time
Mhm.
and break them through their dark night of the soul. So
Totally.
it becomes so important. And that's a great point that I don't think a lot of people realize that, we're all in this together, and
Mhm.
united we grow, divided we fall, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
And I would just say too, I think that can be challenging with social media and with all this information that's constantly out there, because we see the good, we see the people celebrating things, we see a lot of the positive out, and that kind of forces us to want to isolate more because we feel like we don't fit in. We feel like we don't want to
Right.
share this dark side. And I encourage and lately have been sharing more. I mean, when people ask how I'm doing, I answer honestly now. And some people don't like it. I mean, I've definitely not making friends all the time by being fully honest, but I'm living my truth. And I'm also trying to help other people, encourage other people to do that. If you're struggling, it's okay. You're not alone. A lot
Right.
of us are actually struggling more than we're willing to admit. No one
Totally.
really has it as put together as they make it seem.
That's why
So,
we're all in incarnation in these physical, emotional forms.
exactly.
But you're right, and I do think this upcoming time with Pluto in Aquarius, some of the astrology speaks to it being the time of doing shadow work. Everybody wants the spiritual bypass.
Yep.
And that's what Facebook is all about, right? And
Yep.
Instagram. Spiritual bypass. Don't do your shadow work, but we have to, as Carl Jung said, we do not become enlightened by imagining beings of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And here we are in human form, and we have all of this emotion. We have all of these things. And as you spoke to earlier, being authentic is the way through, and to yourself. And then you'll get the mirrors from others who are on the path. And I love what you're doing. Hi there, this is Jill Jardine, host of Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine Podcasts. I just wanted to let my listeners know that I published a book, Sacred Sound Formulas to Awaken the Modern Mind. It's available at Amazon and through my new website, JillJardine.com. Buy the book, visit, and see all the other goodies we have on that new site. Check it out. Thank you for sharing, Crystal. Can you please share with our audience how they can get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, sure. So you can go to my website. It's crystalclear-wellness.com, or find me on Instagram, and that's at crystalclear_wellness.
Thank you. And when we come back, you're going to tell us about your pivot from corporate into wellness and embodiment work, and also the new work you're doing on nervous system regulation. So stay tuned. Welcome back. My guest is Crystal Ellis, a woman's empowerment coach, wellness guide, and the founder of Crystal Clear Wellness. Crystal, I'm really interested to hear, and I know my listeners are, how you made that big pivot from corporate into wellness and embodiment work.
Yeah, so it's been a long journey, to be honest. I wish there was like a quick story where it's like transformation overnight, but unfortunately, and I'm all the fire, by the way. I'm all the Aries, all the Pitta,
Woohoo!
oh yeah. So for me, it certainly has not been as quick as I hoped, but it has been exactly the way it's meant to be, right? And that's always the key. So just a reminder for all those listeners out there who are all the fire.
I want it now.
I completely understand. So essentially, I was in corporate for about 20 years, and I was such a good corporate worker. I was that person who's like, oh, I'm doing a full-time job, and we need to hire another person, and somebody's on maternity leave. Let me just do 3 jobs for the price of 1. And I'll just work harder and do more things, and I don't need more money. That was kind of my MO for 20 years.
Ruh-roh.
That led me nowhere but burnt out constantly. I mean, so much that I don't even know what it felt like to not be burnt out. I was in autopilot. I was go, go, go. Also in human design, for those who love human design. I'm also a human design coach. I'm a generator, which is all the, I have a lot of energy. I'm able to kind of say yes to a lot of different things. But what I realized was I was saying yes to a lot of things that weren't for me. And I was getting more and more burnt out and more unsatisfied and more unconnected to myself. So COVID, I think, was a pivotal point for a lot of people. Once I took my commute, my, office travel, community, all the perks out of my job, I realized I don't like my job. So that was the start of it. And then I signed up for my first yoga teacher training. 200 hours, also something I never thought I'd do. I was the spin instructor, the CrossFitter, run all the races. So yoga for me was my stretch. And I think, again, a lot of people start that way. And I realized that there was so much more to it. And once I really learned more of the spiritual part and the mental part, not just the movement, I fell in love. So it was during my yoga teacher training that I really started to dream differently. I really started to understand that it didn't need to be such a hustle, and that my soul, once I started listening to it, was asking for something very different. So it was really during that time that I decided it was time to start my own business. And now I went to business school knowing I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I wasn't sure in what. So I did 20 years in corporate waiting to know. And then finally, once I kind of pulled away, things have started to come. So things have really opened up once I took that initial leap. And the initial leap is, it was a small step, but a big step, right? And it's really about taking that first step. And that first step is going to take you to the next step. And that's going to take you to the next step. So you don't need to necessarily know the full plan. And actually, that's not the point at all as an entrepreneur. I'm still wanting the whole picture. I want to know the how. I want to know all the things. And finally, a few years in, I've realized this is it. I'm in it. I'm in it.
Right.
I'm an entrepreneur right now. And I don't know what tomorrow brings. And that's actually kind of cool. So I think it's really just having that open mind and that trust and that faith. And for me, I think yoga has been a really big component of helping me to find my own dharma, find my own life purpose, find my own fulfillment, and really connect more to my heart and not just live out of my head.
Right. And people don't realize, I mean, as a yogi of many years, yoga is a process. And when people start doing the internal practices as you have done, and congratulations on being a newly minted Kundalini yoga teacher and loving that world, which we all like to abide in here. But yeah, yoga, the true teachings of yoga are go within, go within. It was a form of psychotherapy that those old yogis and rishis developed to help the populace at the time. And there's so many levels and so many branches and so many aspects of yoga that have not been shared, says this Sanskrit mantra person. But yeah, it's really about going within, and it is a form of self-psychotherapy, which you have cracked that nut, and congratulations. And so you help people with that. I want to talk about that. So here you are. You just recently got into Kundalini yoga as a teacher. You've been taking it for years. And tell me some of the things that you found from Kundalini life force and how that translates to the nervous system regulation work that you're helping people with.
Yeah, definitely. So Kundalini yoga has been probably one of the biggest components of my own transformation. When I first started it about 6 or 7 years ago now, I'm losing count. But it's been enough time that I've been very consistent about it. I will say it was the first yoga I ever found that felt like it was really for me. Vinyasa, I've tried it all and I like it all, by the way. But for me, Kundalini, there was just something about the mantra and the meditation and the breath work and I could actually really get out of my head. I think that's really what it was, is in Vinyasa, I'm still very much about the pose and the flow and where are we going next, and I'm anticipating. And in Kundalini, I can really drop in because it's so powerful that you're so connected to breath and to mantra and to spirit. And I always explain to people when they're like, what the heck is Kundalini yoga? I'm like, well, first of all, keep an open mind. And it's really about, it is that self-awareness. It is that spiritual connection. And for those that are looking to live different and they're trying to get off autopilot and break down the conformity, I mean, do some Kundalini. It's going to help you move energy. It's going to help you find your true self. It's going to help you connect to spirit. It's going to help you feel better. And it's going to help you regulate your nervous system.
Yeah, Kundalini is amazing. There's a reason why it's called the yoga of awakening. It's very multifold, and it does address, I think, emotional, physical, spiritual, energetic, and we do have 10 bodies in Kundalini, so we activate all 10 bodies. But you're right, it's a very multi-dimensional approach to yoga, and you and I both love it, and we take classes together. But yes, I am interested to hear how that led you to the nervous system work you're doing.
Yeah, so the nervous system, I mean, learned a lot about it over the years within yoga and within, I also recently started going to a chiropractor, which I highly recommend as well if it's something you've never checked out. It's tremendously been helping me because I've been holding all of this, in my body, and I never had a reason to have to go to a chiropractor either. But when I went and got x-rays, I realized, Ooh, I was very unaligned. So there's a lot of different things I'm doing for the nervous system. It's Kundalini yoga for me has been I think the biggest component though of really diving into that and really grounding and bringing my body and energy back into this place of grounding and getting out of fight or flight. And I'm somebody who I've lived in fight or flight for most of my life. The body doesn't know the difference between
Right.
the level of trauma, right? I think I'm somebody who's always downplayed what I've been through because it hasn't been that bad. I didn't, I wasn't poor. I didn't have these traumatic events, but my body doesn't know that.
Right.
It knows that I've been in stress and I have been in survival mode a lot of my life for different reasons. And it's been hard to get out of that. And what's helped me a lot is Kundalini yoga, having a consistent practice, doing the breath work, doing the meditations, and it's also the rest within it too. We do all of this activation, but then it's just as important to have these states of shavasana or integration or rest, because that's really where the healing happens. So that rest state is so important. And Kundalini has been a big component, as well as I'm now in another certification against my therapist and most people in my life's advice to not take on another certification. I am doing it because I know it's the foundation. Nervous system is the foundation to everything.
I love this.
And if you're not regulated, then all the healing is just not really going to stick, right? So we got to really bring that body into that rest state so that we can heal and so that we can transform and that we can do all these beautiful things we're meant to do.
Right. And I think most of the population does run around in flight or fight, fight or flight. There's trauma that hasn't been processed. I mean, and if it's sitting in the emotional body, it's sitting in the physical body. One of the places that it likes to hang out in is the adrenal gland, the fight or flight glands. And most of our population is probably adrenal fatigued. I know I was at one point, and it took a lot to heal it. It's beyond just taking supplements. It is doing the work that you're talking about. So I think going forward, especially where we've been such a high-tech society for the last 20 so years, it's going to have its repercussions. And so the work you're doing is kind of pioneering. It is a bit ahead of its time, but I think it's news you can use. I think everybody can work with this energy. And the other thing we were talking about off mic, everybody thinks that they can do it on their own. I mean, we highly advise that you work with a coach, that you work with somebody who's gone down this path, who knows, because there's also protection.
Yep.
That's the whole thing with yoga, working with a true yoga teacher who has been teaching and taking it for a while. You have that protection. And in my tradition, it's the lineage, and the lineage comes with all kinds of benefits.
Yep.
So I highly recommend you for people who want to learn all about this. And what advice would you give women who want to align their life and work with truth? Where should they start?
I'd say they start with me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that sounds like good advice.
No, I'd say they start with a ritual, with one thing, right? Start with self-discovery. Start with taking some time to get to know yourself more, whether it be with reflection, with journaling, with yoga, with meditation. And if you're really looking to, especially on the career front, if you're really looking to innovate and do something different, and you feel very disconnected from purpose, it really starts with knowing the self better, right? Like that we keep coming back to, of going inside. It's not going to come from outside. Right. Believe me, I've tried. I think many of us have. The answers truly come from within. So if you feel disconnected from your own truth and your own purpose and your own joy, it starts with just slowing down, taking some time to listen to yourself, really connect with it's not as hard as we make it. Right. It's truly not. I mean, if things feel like they're just against you, you're probably very out of alignment. And believe me, I've been there many times. Things start to be synergetic when you're in flow, right? When you're really connected to your true authentic self, things start to flow easier. And it's not always where you thought you'd be. And that's certainly where I am. And I've finally learned, like, it's actually better than I thought.
Right. It's process as opposed to the mind dictating or, deciding how it's going to be. When you're in flow, it's a magical journey, and you've been living that, and you're ready now to help others on the path.
Yep.
So Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Crystal.
This was so fun.
This
Thank
has
you.
been very enlightening. I'm sure my listeners have learned a lot from your process and what you have shared. So, again, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, come to my website, crystalclear-wellness.com, or find me on Instagram at crystalclear_wellness.
Thank you, Crystal. It's been such a pleasure to have you on Cosmic Scene.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode featuring my guest, Crystal Ellis. Remember to download, share, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review. Cosmic Scene is so happy to be part of the Believe Network, sending healing vibrations through the quantum field.